Good. Missing a hand. printer. Do you need this?
Yeah. What's on the agenda tonight? Tonight? Uh, when am I at? So, the first? Oh, grant, we doing a grant. Agriculture. Did you,
How are you? One for the
Again, hey, bro. Doing like double, triple duty. Jeez. Catholic. Remember that? Oh. So it's perfect. Where I am. Yeah. Do the stuff on the back. We learned that, you know, I learned that. Don't go to a new guy. And back. People. There you go. People. Oh, unwind that. Some lessons are that. What you ones you remember the most. The other ones that hurt the most. Yeah, right, exactly. We'll touch that stove again. Unbelievable. I don't know where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. So the planning board thing. Yes, I didn't even know it was, you know. Have it either.
Very excited. I'd like to move on my page. I got you on the phone yet. I'm like, come back.
Oh, no. I just wanted to warn you that was.
That's interesting. Did you run that by Brian?
No, I want to talk to Randy and see if there's.
Right, but I think the general value is legal. That's important. Right, that's important.
Flexibility there.
Candace, how are you?
All right, tell you about it.
Thank you for all that you do. All right, yeah, we'll have to talk.
Amy.
Can I see that letter again?
Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and as amended as of March 28, 2025, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless required by law. This meeting will be recorded by the local scene, formerly known as pac-tv. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by viewing the Duxbury Government Access channels Verizon 39 or Comcast 9. Viewers can visit thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube. I am calling the meeting of Monday, April 27th to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is open forum to the board. Brian, I'll start with you.
Thank you. I mentioned last meeting that we are in the process of putting together a response to the County of Plymouth for a questionnaire they sent out about regionalization or shared services or that sort of thing. It's due on the 30th. I received final comments from town departments today, and I have submitted that on behalf of the community, so that is checked off. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Fernando?
I have nothing.
Cindy? Is Mike joining us tonight? He's not
I
here.
thought so. I hadn't heard that he wasn't.
Okay, well, Mike?
I thought he was returning from vacation today.
All right.
Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak under open forum? Candace Martin, one of our favorite people.
Yes.
Hardworking
Yes.
Civil servant, thank you.
Well, I'm Candace Martin, 59 Burnett Road, and I'm here to enlist your support. So as you know, I've been on the PFAS working group, and out of curiosity, where I'm a resident of the Gurnett Road area, we get our water supply from Marshfield, so there's about 150 homes in that area. So I get the Duxbury water quality report, not Marshfield. So Mark Cloud has been helpful in forwarding that to me. The water quality report is nowhere as detailed as Duxbury's. So I submitted in a FOIA request for more information on the PFAS. What I got was raw test data. I went through it, also went on Mass DEP to get more information because what I found was really shocking. So we have a concern over our lakeshore well, average about 5.2 parts per trillion with the new MCL at 4. Well, the readings for 5 of the 6 wells that supply our area, they're at 15.6, 6.4, 10.2. If I take the average of those, not knowing the well capacities, it's over 7. As of right now, the Marshfield has no intention of doing any PFAS remediation. So I'm just looking to not have you surprised when the Water and Sewer Advisory Board comes to you in May. I just need your help because I feel like I've been a sole crusader trying to get information and understanding. Is this a concern for me? Mark Cloud took a sample at the point of entry a week ago, so we will have that information. But it is a 1.1 mile of water supply as a dead end. So there's no water circulation. There's a lot of seasonal residents. So is that a concern? So I want representation on the Board of Health, the Duxbury Safe Water. I want us to be recognized. We pay our taxes. We pay our water bills to Duxbury, and we pay the Duxbury water rates. I want the same quality water assurance that it is good quality water. So thank you.
Thank you for that, and we do have a date for a presentation from the Water Advisory Committee coming up in early May, I think, is it May?
Hold on. 18th, yes.
May 18th, so, but Candace, thank you. Anyone else this evening under open forum? Anyone online, Lauren? Yeah, thank you. All right, moving on. We welcome Planning Board. Thank you for coming. You guys have the floor tonight to discuss a variety of things with us. So, Kristen, I will turn it over to you.
I think that they need to call to order.
Oh, do you
For the
need to
record,
call your meeting?
they've already called themselves to order. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kristen Rapp. I'm the chair of the planning board. I live on Ryan's Lane. So thank you for having us tonight. We wanted to go over 4 things with you tonight. And would it be possible to flip up the PowerPoint? Yes, great, thank you. I figured this will just be a little easier for us to go over together. So of the 4 things, the first is we have a planning board vacancy, which you probably know. You can go ahead and forward a slide, please. Second is there are some new state rules for clean energy siting and permitting. We wanted to make sure you're aware of that and talk a little bit about that. Also wanted to talk a little bit about comprehensive plan implementation, and then the last thing is potential zoning bylaw amendments. So I'll dive into the planning board vacancy. So we do have a vacant planning board seat for a 2-year term. As we've done in the past, our plan is that we will advertise in the Clipper, which we have. We'll ask for interested parties to send a resume and their interest in a letter to the planning board, to our planning director, by May 22nd. Then we'll have a joint meeting. We'll come up, hopefully, I believe that we're going to come up with a list of questions jointly. That'll be vetted by HR. Then we'll share those questions with the candidates. And then the candidates will come and they'll have an opportunity to give their answers in a presentation. Then we can ask questions, and then I believe that what we did in the past is the planning board voted on the candidates, and then the select board, and then the select board makes the official appointment. And then at that point, it's my understanding is that the appointment is till the next election. Then they have to run for election for if they choose to, they run for election for 1 year because it's a 2-year term. And then after that, they can run for election for a 5-year term. So that is our current plan. Any questions on that? We've done this before. We kind of know the drill.
We've done this one before. So.
Yes.
Do we have a date for that joint meeting?
No, it's funny you should ask, because I was just looking at the long-range calendar, conveniently located in your packets. And I was thinking if their due date is the 22nd of May, the joint interviews would most likely land on, well, it could be the 1st of June or the 8th.
The long-range calendar does not include June 15th, and I think we have a meeting that night.
Okay, good point. I don't know. I'll have to double check.
That's fine.
I believe you, but
Don't worry.
wonder why that wasn't in there.
June 15th, isn't that when we're having the big presentation on the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. It's a singular meeting.
So
though.
we probably shouldn't do it that night.
No.
That's,
No, but we do
we don't
have
want
that.
anything else that night.
Actually, wait a minute. Sorry, if you look at the updated agenda, I don't know where the 15th went, Cindy. I'll have to double check it.
It's all right.
But right now, the singular issue of the Powder Point Bridge is listed for the 6th of July.
Oh,
But
okay.
remember, all of these are subject to change.
Right.
We can move things around. This is just sort of.
What, did you say June 8th is a meeting? Is
Yeah.
that an option?
Most likely be the 1st or the 8th,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
Maybe.
You're going to let us know and say,
Yeah, maybe we'll work it out on this side, I guess. But maybe we kind of think about June 8th, but we could prepare our questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right, and there's a holiday in there,
Yep.
so,
yeah. And you have the questions already, I believe,
Oh.
from the last time.
You
If
think
you don't,
so?
I can get them to you.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll reach out to Jeannie. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so the next topic is this new state rules for clean energy siting and permit. I think in your packet, there might be a 2-page piece of paper. And this has been super helpful. We've had a couple conversations on our board. So the gist of it is that the Department of Energy Resources has some new regulations. that are requiring a consolidated local permit applications. We have the option of having that in place by July 1st. It must be in place by October 1st. And that's not really that far from now. And the reason the planning board's raising it is because we're one of the groups that would be on that consolidated application.
I want to make sure I understand exactly what we're talking about as we're moving forward. Is this an application for a specific thing?
For clean energy siting and permitting.
Clean energy
Yeah,
siting.
siting and
So it's
permitting.
not the battery storage, it's clean energy siting. And you're going to tell me what that means.
Which part? The clean energy?
Clean energy siting.
It could, yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay,
The
so
whole-
it's that issue? Okay.
So the whole idea is that somebody comes to town and wants to, it's a way to smooth out and speed up the process for somebody who wants to apply, so they don't have to go to each and every board. And so then once the application is received, then the Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and other boards and commissions have 12 months to do the review. If they haven't done the review, then it's automatically approved. So there's an incentive to get that done quickly. So one of the reasons we're bringing it to you is because the state is requiring that there's a local government representative that will be in charge of this. This is an LGR. And so the ask here is for you to start working with Rainey. I know it's on his radar. He and Matthew have been talking about this already, so I just wanted to make sure you're aware, and if there's anything we can do to help you, let us know as you start to work through this.
Does it give you guidance as to who that person, what department in town hall that person typically comes from? No guidance? No.
Not really.
The experience we've seen with only 2 examples so far has been the planning department.
Planning department.
Yes. Matthew, he's the department.
Yes. And I think
That's a big department.
Well, he and Emily.
I know.
It's a little unclear. Does that mean that, the application, there's one big application, it's just a little, like the details, the logistics are a little unclear, so the sooner we can get somebody on board to figure that out, the sooner, the better for the town.
So it sounds like the state is trying to streamline the process,
Yes.
make it easier for applicants.
Yes.
Putting the onus on the town to make a decision one way or the other, or it can be constructively approved. And what about, in the instance, can applicants grant extensions to, can they, in other words, bypass the constructive approval date by seeking a continuance? In other words, if the applicant is faced with a possible no vote because of some missing, certainly you can, if there was missing information or a board wasn't ready to grant, to say yes, then if it's a yes or a no, they may have to vote no. Can the applicant ask for an extension? Can an extension be granted, thus pushing the date?
Amy, these are good questions, and I don't have the answers.
Okay.
I think that's,
I don't think the rules say anything specifically about that, but let's face it, the history of the way everything else works would indicate that you would do it.
Okay. All right. We need to, for the folks at home to be able to hear.
Yes.
You guys have to be
you wanna-
mic'd, so.
do you want to come on
It
up,
sounds
Matthew?
like- Yeah, that could be a possibility, but we don't know.
Yeah, so Matthew Hines, Planning Director. So I think the answer is probably yes. I can't say for sure, but as you say, like that's the way most processes and applications work, and it's so often the case that there'll be something missing in an application, or the peer review engineer identifies an issue, then the engineers kind of have to work together for a while to solve it and submit new things. We see it happen all the time with all sorts of applications. So my guess is probably yes, but I can't say for sure. And also, just to clarify one thing, for this clean energy siting, these new rules, they apply to any kind of clean energy project. So solar, battery energy storage, wind, and then maybe one or two other kind of exotic, sort of unusual things like anaerobic something or other. So it's going to, basically it'll apply to all of those types of projects.
You may not know the answer, but for instance, in our zoning bylaws, I understand we limit as to where somebody can put a solar panel. I think people were putting solar panels in their backyard and actually creating a business out of selling energy, right? And we tried to, basically limit the zoning as to where a person could do this. Do you think this new siting and permitting regulations will basically supersede any local bylaws that we have, or what's your thought on this?
So no, actually I talked to somebody from the state, and I mean also I've learned about it on my own. So yeah, at least in theory, these new clean energy rules, they don't force any town to have to change its zoning bylaws or most of its other rules, Conservation Commission rules and so forth.
Right.
I think in practice there may be a few tweaks that are advisable, but it doesn't. These rules definitely do not invalidate any zoning bylaws. Now, we may have, because of the Dover Amendment and other things, we may have sort of other reasons, other considerations that may be problematic for some of our zoning bylaws. But these new clean energy rules, do not invalidate any zoning bylaws, or to the best of my knowledge, any general bylaws or any other kinds of town
Or
rules.
zoning bylaws, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing is they do impose the 12-month rule, so I suppose in that sense they do affect
Right, okay.
various bylaws. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll look forward to seeing many more details what exactly this new regulations will have on the town of Duxbury then.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting process, I think.
Right. So, a hint of deja vu all over again, right?
Right. So again, the ask of the planning board is that not the planning board, sorry, the select board is that we will need to start publicizing the dates. You'll need to decide when we can start accepting that permit. Again, it'll be between July and October. We need to determine that LGR, and then Matthew alluded to, or actually I think Fernando, you alluded to, and Matthew answered some of this, that we have to decide whether or not we need to tweak any of the bylaws, because some of the bylaws do spell out, well, you need to do this, this, and this before you can actually apply. So it'll be those types of tweaks, I suspect. But we'll just add that to the growing list of bylaw amendments that we're working on.
Madam Chair, if I can just
Yes,
inquire.
please.
So, lots of technicalities here. Has town council been involved? And if not, I would recommend that we authorize town council to assist. Our town council is council to many communities across the Commonwealth, so I got to imagine they're already dealing with this in some way, if not for us, for some other community. And I'd like for Duxbury to have the benefit of whatever that research and work has been, so that you're not reinventing a wheel that might have already been invented for another community in dealing with yet another state mandate.
Unfunded.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Agreed. So can we, yeah.
Way to deal.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, great, thanks. So we'll move on to our next topic, which is the comprehensive plan. So as most everybody here probably knows, Envision Duxbury was finished and passed in 2019. And then since then, we've been asking different groups, boards, members, departments to go ahead and start working on their implementation plans. So some of these, we've received a number of updates on these action items from the various town entities. Chris Ryan was the one who got that ball rolling back in 2023. Matthew, our new planning director, actually sent out some requests to 24 different groups, and as of April 26th, he's received 17 so far. And if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
The plan, Vision Duxbury plan is for the 24 entities, right? There's more?
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
There's plenty more.
There's plenty more. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you want it, this is the implementation plan. So
Yes.
it's extremely detailed, lots of information, and it's actually ledger size, and it's dozens of pages. And so it's wonderful that we have these roadmaps for the different groups. We've been able to break them out and actually take apart certain the chunks of the plan for the different town departments, for the different groups like Concom, Planning Board, Select Board, Town Manager, so on. And we've been starting to get some of the comments and some of the information back. So if you look here, this is actually from DPW, and some of their comments here are in the couple columns over in blue.
Right.
So we've got a lot of really great things going on. A lot of groups are working on things. We have more work to do. In fact, we are working on in the background some of our activities, and a lot of the things that we're working on are more things that'll take 5 to 10 years before they come to actualization, if you will, but we are working on that. So our ask of you is to continue to work with your boards, your liaisons, and with the town departments to ensure that they're responding to these requests for information.
Yep.
Because some of it is, we're not just trying to fill out the chart, we're trying to figure out where are we, what's the status, but also we want to start maybe being able to plan a little bit too.
Okay.
Any
To
questions?
that, Madam Chair, because this is been an issue that I've been advocating for since I've been on the planning board. And we all have had that experience, many of us, and Fernando was an ambassador, as I recall, for
That's right.
Vision Duxbury. So one of the questions that the town grappled with initially was who owns implementation.
Yes.
And we went round and round with that and ultimately determined, I think appropriately, that the select board owns it. And I've been disappointed with our pace in implementing these goals. As Kristen just pointed out, this was done in 2019. This is 2026.
Time for an update almost.
It's almost time for an update, exactly. So the reason I raise this in response to Kristen's point is I don't want us to lose focus in that, now planning is taking this over. It's still very much, in my view, a select board priority. And we'll be talking about priorities later on in the agenda. You'll be hearing me advocate again for this. But to help the planning, I appreciate the planning board, and also the center is working on a number of these as well. And if you haven't connected with them already, the working group over there, I'll get you the contact info if you haven't been in touch already.
Sure.
But there's a lot of overlap in terms of what the center, or the groups of the center are doing and what the planning board is looking at. But I want to make sure that as whatever you're going through, and Matthew, whenever you're reaching out to boards and committees and departments, that they understand that this isn't like a nice to have. This is, the town has decided we're doing this, and it needs to be done. And I raise that by way of whatever we can do to emphasize that point. And I'm going to advocate later on in our discussion that we have quarterly reviews on the process and the progress. But it's a long way to say, I appreciate that you're picking this up, and Matthew in particular, because I know this kind of falls on your shoulders on the day-to-day basis. But I don't think it's for us individually. Well, us individually as liaisons, yes, we're going to go to our committees, but it's more of an all-hands issue for the town, supervised by the select board. So when you're talking about how the select board can support, I want to make sure it's being heard up here as to what it is that we can help with, because we want to see it done, and we want to enable the boards and committees to whatever the resources they need to make things happen, that we're aware of that and can supply it. But if we can just go back for a sec, maybe it was
Lauren, would you
prior,
mind? Thank
or
you.
maybe the next one, is how we can support you on Envision Duxbury. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was,
One
no,
more.
your next one.
There we
it is.
go.
Work with liaison committees and boards. So that's one step, but I think I would put another bullet point on that, which is that from the planning board's perspective, whatever you're working on as you're going through this, and Matthew, you in particular, let us know, please, how things are progressing for good or not, so that we can, in turn, go back to our boards and committees as liaisons and advocate as necessary. I'll put that politely. But also so that there's accountability. I think that's kind of what's been missing here. And how we can help is by keeping boards and committees and department heads accountable for the implementation.
And-
I'll get off my soapbox on that.
Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate the support. And we know that we have the broad support of the select board, so thank you. Two things. The first is, what's the best format for you? I know Matthew started working on a chart that said, okay, of the town departments, we've heard from DPW, there were 20 outstanding items. They've tackled 15. They've got 5 left. Would a chart showing that kind of information be helpful? So then we could dig into what's behind the numbers,
Yeah.
or is that too? Yes.
I think kind of maybe a traffic light, as simple
Okay.
as that.
Okay.
All right, green, yellow, red, that type of thing. And
Okay.
because, like I said, there's a lot of information out there, and I think
Yeah.
once it comes up, right? If stuff is green, then that's going well, and red, then that's where let's dive into the detail, and then what can the select board do to help it turn to a nicer shade?
Okay, that's a great idea. I like that. And then the second thing is, I believe there is actually a list that Matthew may have is sent to the select board. Do you actually have some action items too?
They're probably red.
No, that's good. It needs to, the tone needs to start from here.
Yeah.
Yep.
When did that list come to us? Do you know, approximately?
Probably the past 1 or 2 months, I guess.
I'll look for it.
Directly to us?
Precise date. I mean, I can look it up, but probably in the last 2 months.
Okay.
You resend it.
Yeah,
Please.
send it, please.
Thank you, Matthew.
Sorry, Matthew.
And it's, just to be clear, it's not a box checking exercise either. We want meaningful deliverables
Yeah.
on these. So it's not just, hey, we did box whatever. It's whatever the underlying deliverable was, we want that to be accomplished.
Yeah.
The town has spoken.
Yeah, and I think actually the comments column is really the more valuable part, because that's where you really get into sort of the interesting things.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
next up, this is where we get into the fun stuff.
Oh.
This is the potential zoning bylaw amendments. So it's been 15 years since the recodification bylaw efforts began, and we almost had we decided to indefinitely postpone a best bylaw. So we decided that we didn't feel like we were getting enough traction. So we formed a zoning bylaw subcommittee. We meet every Monday here in this room, 8:15, and we are making a lot of progress. So I think we've met probably 4 or 5 times, and we're starting to feel like we know we feel like we've got a plan forward.
Hope Jim's on it.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Well, that's.
Lots of institutional knowledge right there. Okay.
I mean, that's excellent news, right? So in a very short space of time, you've been able to make
A lot of
quite a bit of progress. That's really great.
Well, and it is great. And
Yeah.
I would be, you were on the committee that wrote the last bylaw, as was I.
Some mistakes.
Yep, we did. We did. There will always be mistakes, but having somebody to interpret, and again, we're not looking to make substantial changes, we're looking to just recodify.
Yeah.
That's
the trouble with that word right there.
Yeah, yes. There's a whole lot of, I know Jim wants to say something, and I'll
Yes, Jim.
address it too.
I think that is a question we need to discuss. Jim Lampert, 148 Washington, member of the planning board. I think what we want out of the next generation of the bylaw is a subject we need to discuss. The recodification group that I chaired, we got a lot of minor errors taken care of. We intentionally did not make any changes that could be called substantive with a capital S. We also noted that there were a lot of other things that needed to be dealt with if you were really going to come up with a bylaw that was workable. For example, there are a number of provisions in the bylaw that are simply too broad and do not trace actual practice. How do we deal with those? This is not just a rearrange the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. It takes more than that if we're going to come up with a workable document. And I think we need some continued contact with the select board and discussion with the select board as we move through this as to what our thoughts are and your thoughts are on what is our goal. Because I think it is more than simply the chairs.
Yeah, that's my sense is that there's lots of opportunity for, shall we say, got a word, watch my words, but for interpretation of the bylaw to the, shall we say, detriment to the town.
Well,
And it sounds like there's a sharpness that needs to be put into our language.
Tighten it up.
Yes. That
As
prevents this opportunistic
No, you're right, and I think as any of us who have played with bylaws or any other laws know, this probably starts with definitions. If the definitions are not clear, nothing is. And that's, we got, when that is, code came up with a lot of good, very good changes, 50 or 60 of them, but they were all really scriveners.
So in the past, when we've gone through these, the working group, when we had the SISBIC group, that was, we had basically a volunteer coordinator of that consultant, which was, who was John Whitten.
Right.
But in past bylaws, real redevelopment of them, we've always had a consultant we've hired out. Is that something that this board is looking to do?
So it basically is something that has been done, because code put together a revision based really on, Chris sent them a long marked up copy of the original bylaw with a large number of recommendations and questions. Code asked, I don't even want to guess how many questions that the planning board prior to me basically answered. I got involved in the tail end of some of them. But there's been an awful lot of going back and forth on what are the questions that need to be dealt with. Where does code work in this going forward? I don't think I can exactly tell you at the moment, because I think we need to take a harder look at exactly where are we, and then discuss with you what our recommendations might be in terms of going forward. Because what we would ask code to do really depends on where we want to go.
Okay, so
Where you want to go.
Code is the consultants that you
Yes.
have? Okay, thank you.
Is that Muni code?
General code. Okay.
Thank you.
There's a lot of codes in here, isn't
Yeah.
there? There's
A lot of code talk.
codification,
We're
Unicode.
talking in codes.
Talking in codes.
Yep.
Yes, so recodification is definitely a hot topic.
Yes.
What we're trying to do right now, what we are doing right now, is really focusing on the battery energy storage systems, so that because we came off the town meeting with the draft, and we want to dive into that. Our goal is to wrap that up by the end of this quarter. I have a very aggressive timeline in my head, and I don't know if the ZBS, so Steve is over there shaking his head. The ZBS might, we'll see how far we go. But at least if we have an aggressive timeline, we're going to move forward. So that's kind of what that idea is. And then after we'd like to focus our energy on that, kind of fine tune that, and then move into recodification, because there is a lot of history, and it's nice that Jim is on the board now, because he can fill in a lot of the blanks. He can provide that. We've had a couple of planning directors, Matthew's coming up to speed, the rest of the board's coming up to speed. But to Jim's point, we do want to come back and get some clarification with you. Because there are a lot of questions about, how far, what do we want to do, what was the original intent of the working group, and so on. So then after that, we have some other zoning bylaws we want to tackle. There's inclusionary, open space, floodplain. I put a big question mark on all of those, because it really depends on how far we get with recodification. And then following on the heels of that, yes, do we need to make any changes to our zoning bylaw to accommodate the clean energy permitting? There's now a new zoning bylaw that the state is making optional. It's called a starter home. Are they going to make that? Are they going to mandate that? So we don't know what's coming. We just know that we want to be. We're working to be aware of things that might be coming down the pike.
Okay.
So.
Before we move on,
Yep,
so
I was gonna ask any
for us
questions.
to help you, help us.
Yes.
Help you, help.
Yep.
but
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
helping everybody else.
Yeah, right.
So you've already got works in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that we can help,
Yep.
just, I don't know, provide some light on to until the next meeting anyway? Or in other words, I know you mentioned an aggressive timeframe.
Yep.
Although these things always seem to take forever.
Right.
If there's something we could do tonight for you, I'd like to do that.
Okay.
But I'd also like for us to maybe undertake a brief discussion on recodification and what we as a group think that means, to provide some additional guidance to the planning board as to what their guardrails are in terms of working with the select board in what we interpret what recodification to mean or not mean, because I think if you ask 5 members of the select board, you might get 5 slightly different answers. So to Kristen's point,
Yeah.
having that clarity might be useful if
Would
we're
be.
prepared to, at least at a high level, talk about it tonight.
Sure, what is your definition of recodification, Brian?
Well, as I first interpreted it, and it's been an iterative process, the first idea anyway was, let's just try to straighten it out. And kind of, I think of a document that's in a bunch of different fonts, just get it all in the same font, same style, and that was going to be recodification. And then to the extent issues popped up, we would go through that, and that was going to be sort of a redo, an iterative process. You've got a very talented planning board here, and I think we've got, with Matt at the helm in planning, and we have Emily, who's been fantastic throughout a number of years in keeping the ship off the rocks. I think we have some continuity and some real brain power here I would be in favor of allowing them to do something more substantive than just changing the fonts and paragraphs and that sort of stuff. Knowing that ultimately it's got to go to town meeting, it's got to go through us, it's got to have a public hearing, there's many touch points, and given that we've been talking about this for 15 years, I think maybe we need to change the process a little bit, because what we've been doing so far hasn't yielded any results. And to Fernando's point, when people look at zoning bylaws, they see what they want to see, and if it's not there, they hire a lawyer to advocate that it's there. And there are lots of talented lawyers in the Commonwealth who argue bylaws, and we've got some folks,
Some very meaty ones
on
against
the
us.
board who know how that game goes, and I think are well placed to backstop some of those issues. So I would like to lengthen the leash a bit here and allow the planning board to maybe come to us with recommendations rather than us pushing things down.
Yeah.
Okay, Fernando.
Yeah, I've seen firsthand, building on your comment about, shall we say, sometimes you can drive a bus through our bylaws, right? with the right money and resource behind it, right? So I'd like, again, the bylaws are a reflection of what the town is, what the town residents, right? It shapes our community, shapes what our community feels like, and when there's the opportunity for that to happen, then it has an impact on the community. So I would like to see identification of areas that maybe prioritize, we basically get an 18-wheeler, maybe down to minivan, right, through the bylaws, so to speak. So maybe that's a way, but I'd certainly like to see them focus on that as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, hold on, let's hear from Cindy or Amy. Do you have anything? I know Jim wants to say something, but.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to say that, it's been a really frustrating process. I was also on the planning board, and we talked about this all the time, year after year after year. I think I was on the planning board for 14 years, and that's a long time ago now. And I think I'm agreeing with Brian and Fernando that it's definitely time to do more than just fonts, paragraphs, juggling words around to make some clarity that way. And so I would be more than open to having some, more substantive, and I know that's the word that takes us from just fonts to, something that really needs to be reviewed and voted on, and then go to the Attorney General and, whatnot. But I think it's time.
So the difference between the recodification and the rewrite. The recodification, I'm clear on. A recodification is just straightening things out, making sure that sections and things are numbered correctly with zero substantive changes. once you get into those changes to the bylaw, each and every bylaw that is going to be tweaked in a substantive way has to have public hearings. It has to go before town meeting. I've been going to town meeting in this town for a long time. And you start making those changes and, people come out of the woodwork and they get kind of bleary-eyed, and it can be very dicey. So I do think that some of the mandates are going to require us to kind of rewrite this bylaw. So is it time to do that? My concern, I think I speak on behalf of many people, the concern would be, are we looking to tighten it up and stay in keeping with our protective bylaw as it is now? Or is there an appetite to relax zoning or open it up a little for more? That's where I get very concerned. I think that the community has made it very clear that they want a protective bylaw that does just that. It protects, because the number one priority has been and always will be to preserve and protect the rural and historical character of the town.
Yeah.
So I think if you approach this in a way that you want to stay in keeping with what we have, you want to tighten it up so that there is less interpretation, less ability to, fight and maneuver these our zoning. Because when people vote in zoning, it is the 2/3 vote, and that's what the town wants. So to see people sidestepping it and interpreting it the way that they want instead of the way that it was presented is maddening to everyone. So I think if you approach it that way, I think that, I would, I'm on board with that. And I think that some of these changes, even the things that we're talking about tonight, are going to necessitate the need to rewrite and not just recod.
So I think we've all said it in a different way, right? But I think you summarize it. This is meant to be a protective bylaw, and unfortunately, is not sharp enough to be truly protective, right? That's what you're saying, Amy, right? And I think that's why I said between the 18-wheeler and the minibus, we need to prioritize those gaps and to make it truly protective. I think we're all saying the same thing, aren't we? Yeah?
Just about.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
so. Is that the guidance is that kind of like the big picture question that we're looking to resolve?
I think clearly the big picture, let me step back a second, a little history. Before Article 18 was IP'd, I prepared what might have gone into the warrant to tell you what the proposed recodification did. I don't know whether any of you have seen that, but what it does, hopefully in readable form, is tell you every change that was going to be made. 99 and 44, 100% of them are scriveners. What it also says is that this is only step one of the process, that there are future things to be done. And let me just give you two examples, one of our mentioned earlier tonight. Our use tables. Our use tables reflect business in 1947. It is long past the time that we brought those forward, the better part of 100 years, to reflect what we really want to have done as uses. And a lot of it's just going to be scrivening, but it has to be looked at because having spent quite a long time chairing the zoning board, trying to figure out how you could or could not squeeze something that might or might not be rational into that use table was a clearly non-trivial task. That is one of the things that the memo I prepared, and I will send it to all of you, says really needs to be addressed. The other thing, and I mentioned it earlier tonight, that needs to be addressed is where, from talking to building inspector and others, what we are doing doesn't match the language of the bylaw. And that's not a place we want to be.
What?
Some of the provisions of the bylaw are incredibly broad, as a result of which practice does not really follow exactly what those say. I've talked to Jim W. about those in a fair amount of detail, and I certainly was intending to continue to do so. And in the memo I will send you, those were two areas that I thought we at least should consider for addressing going forward. There's never been a thought about, oh, gee, should we allow condominiums anywhere in town, et cetera, and so forth. But in terms of coming up with a bylaw that protects us to the same extent and hopefully better than what we have now is clearly the goal. But it also has to be one that recognizes what we do and do not do in town today, not in 1947.
Good point.
I think one of the examples is I think we've experienced that recently, right, with people clearing land to the full limit and also digging a little deeper as part of the clearing process and doing a little bit of mining on the side, right? So I think that's what you're saying, right?
That type of thing, yes.
Yeah.
Right, and having, you did mention the zoning board, and the zoning board does do a lot of work with the bylaw. They are, so getting input and, having them part of this process, I think, is important too, because, you've got some pretty smart people on that board too.
Spent enough years there.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you. That feedback is really helpful, because I think if you had asked me what I thought you would say before I walked in the room, it wasn't that. I thought you were just going to say just recodify. That's it, because that was the message that I had gotten. So this is really helpful. Thank you.
Great.
Excellent.
And Amy, you said recodify, and what did you say? Rework?
Rewriting.
Rewrite.
You're going to
Okay.
rewrite. It sounds like there's going to be some rewriting, but every article that has any kind of substantive change will have to go before town
Yes,
meeting.
of course,
Of
course.
And so if you are seeking to make changes on, it's gonna be, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But again, if you're tightening it up, you're gonna get buy-in.
It should be more supportive, right? That's yeah.
It should be more,
Yeah.
if you're loosening anything, that's where
Yes.
that's a non-starter for me.
My goal in heading the working group was not to make any significant, and you have to look at that word, substantive changes. It was to come up with a bylaw that is clear, that is consistent with what we do, and frankly, that people can understand. We could obviously go hog wild in rewriting the bylaw. I've never had any intention of doing that, and I don't know anybody who has. And I don't think that's what you would get out of the planning board, that we really haven't gotten to the point where we started discussing it, in what our suggestions might be on how would you handle improving, not rewriting, improving our existing bylaw.
Okay, but if it's not a recodification, then I guess I struggle a little bit with what the term is, if you don't want to say rewrite, but I hear what you're saying, and I like what you're saying.
Well,
which
I
is
think
that
the
you're not-
test will be really staying in touch with you
Right.
and really telling you this is an area that creates a problem.
Right.
How can we, from the town's point of view, best resolve that problem? I said there are places where practice just doesn't follow what the words are.
Yep.
Yeah.
How consistent with what the building inspector does and what people read the bylaw to say,
Yep.
do we take care of that issue?
Yep.
This is not a rewrite the bylaw. The goal is to make one that's clear and is understandable both to the people who have to enforce it and to the
Yep.
people that have to live and work under it.
Yep.
I think it's semantics as
It
to
is
what.
semantics. I'm not sure what we're going to call it, but whatever
Well,
it is, it
yeah,
sounds
and I
good.
think the goal is basically showing you and talking in detail with you
There we
what are
go.
the specifics that we see. Until you get down to specifics, there's no way really to handle this.
Got it.
If I can summarize, I think what I'm hearing up here and what I think you need to hear is we trust you. Right? You're all elected just like us. You're responsive to the voters, and we trust you to do the right thing. And it's going to be a work in progress for a while. But I think with this particular group on the planning board, and as I said earlier, we've got some good horsepower. Not that we didn't before, with all due respect to those of us who were on the planning board. This is a great time for us to finally make up for some lost time. And get something moving. To Jim's point, I think you summarized it very well in terms of what the goal is, and it's not, again, check a box and say, okay, we're done. A zoning bylaw is never really done. And with all the mandates we're getting from the state, I think we're going to get some crosswinds along the way, and the planning board or the working group's going to have to respond in real time as those things come down. I think we're going to see more, not fewer, of the mandates.
Great.
See, I just wanted to kind of understand what Amy is saying. So, Amy, it sounds like you're saying that the actual, sort of the recodification itself should kind of be only, non-substantive things, just kind of formatting and numbering and maybe correcting typos and spelling errors and consistency. And that would be kind of one warrant article. And then other changes would kind of be separate warrant articles. Is that a fair kind of, is that what I'm understanding?
I think if you were to do a recodification, which we're kind of saying probably doesn't make sense, you are going to have to, again, I don't want to use the wrong term.
Exactly.
But there are going to have to be areas that can bring it more up to date, clarify, tighten it up. I think we're all on that. That sounds great. Get it into this century, but those then. But if there were to be substantive changes of, say, a definition or a area of the a bylaw, then that article would clearly have to get 2/3 vote. But again, I think if it's tightening it up, bringing it into this era. Again, we'll have to go through town council, but I think the way that we approach it is, like we said, collaborative and keeping us apprised as to what the challenge is, where the problems are. Like Jim was saying, that all makes sense.
I think talking about articles on how many and how we'll do it, I think that's a bit
I'm not there yet.
early doors, right? So let's start working on with the group and keep the conversation going.
Yep, great, thank you.
It has to continue.
Yes.
Of course. Yep. Thank you for that feedback. That's really helpful. Would you mind going to the next slide? So you hit on something, and that was that we're not a standalone body. We need input. We need input from you. We need it from the community, and we need it from our attorneys. So even though this is a circle, it's really meant to be iterative. So that's why we're here tonight to talk with you about BES and recodification, but also we'll come back with more questions. We'll come back, and next time I expect that we'll come back with some more substantive information.
Okay.
But I did wanted to reassure you that your input is critical. Tonight's been super helpful, so thank you. And to that point, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, we wanted to talk a little bit more about BES and what we've actually been digging into. Because when we were at town meeting and we were talking, and we decided to indefinitely postpone it, one of the feedback that I heard from you was, well, what's the business case?
Right.
And that's something that we really hadn't addressed. And so we're starting to dig into that, but we're also really digging into these 6 other areas, or 6 + 1 is 7 total areas. So there's the business case, the potential, do we create a different district, an energy overlay? We definitely know we need to review existing case law. We've got somebody on it. And then we're also reviewing upcoming Massachusetts law and regulations, reviewing bylaws that have passed in other communities. We think that's really key for us to understand how we move forward. Then we're also looking at contacting state and local agencies and then addressing some safety concerns. I think there have been 1 or 2 other things that have popped up. But
I just add to review other bylaws, we're also looking at what is the state approved.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if they've turned it down, I don't want to go that route.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So just in case anybody didn't hear Jim at home, he was mentioning it's not just what municipalities have passed, but what the Attorney General has approved.
Yes, thank you. It's a good clarification. Some of what we're finding is we dig into one area and we go a little bit deeper. And once we find out we're good in what we've got. So this is what we're focused on so far. And if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. And this is really what we're digging into right now. The biggest one are the energy tiers. What we're seeing, and I wasn't planning on going into too much detail. I'll try to give you a high-level view of what some other towns are doing. But most towns seem to have anywhere between 1 and 4 energy level tiers. And that might be, you've got one area, tier 1 is residential. That allows for you to have a Tesla Powerwall, and you don't need a permit, and it's by right. And you go by the underlying zoning. But what if you have somebody who wants to build like a small, a larger operation? And so then we're trying to understand, well, what for that case, maybe it's 250 kilowatts or 5 megawatts or something like that. Well, then we would want to have some different
Right.
requirements for that.
That kind of makes sense. You can imagine the gas station in the corner there might start. I don't know if they have. Do they have plug-in facilities there? Probably not. But they could do.
Newer gas stations.
Newer gas
Newer gas
stations.
station,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Interesting.
Ours still have feeding stations for the horses.
That's right.
Keeping with our rural nature here.
Yeah.
And some of that then plays into the setbacks play into the different tiers. If it's in your backyard, you've got your Tesla Powerwall, you don't need that. But if you are looking at a 5 megawatt, and I'm just throwing these numbers out, we haven't vetted them. This is just to give you solely for comparison. Then maybe we would probably want some setbacks there. And some other keys. We also want to understand the business case behind that. We're still learning about that. It's not so much supply and demand that would want a company to come to Duxbury. We're learning it also has to do with congestion. Where is the power draw? Where is there not enough coming in to go out? So that's a different point of view. So does that mean is it better for a site to be closer to a substation? We don't know. We're trying to learn more about that. Also, safety is, I would say, the overriding focus for this particular bylaw is the safety, health, and welfare of our citizens. That's the driving force behind all of this. So we're really trying to understand some of the implications there. We had heard that some of the early concerns were around fires, and from what we understand as we dig into this and what we're learning is that the industry is becoming better informed. They're putting more safeguards in place, and people are understanding how to handle those if and when they do happen. So apparently they're not. We hear about. I guess some of us have heard about. There are 1 or 2 stories that you might have read on the news, but apparently that's fairly rare. So we are trying to understand and make sure we have adequate safety requirements in place. That could also mean that maybe there is required that an owner pays for public safety training or public safety reimbursement if there is some type of an issue there. We're also looking at pollution. That might be sound, light. We're also looking at financial. Some communities are now asking for host community agreements. Maybe there's a decommissioning bond, some things like that. If we do need to have public safety training, who's going to pay for that? So we are trying to dig into some deeper things. And then one of the last items we're looking at is the access road. That was a hot topic in one of the cases, and one of the recent cases, and I'm going to forget which one. It was one of the first ones. Okay, so we are looking at that. How wide does it need to be? Who needs to access it? Does it follow the same rules as our minor streets, which are 18 feet wide? We're trying to figure that out. On an average day, maybe it's not heavy traffic, but maybe during construction or if there's an emergency. So we're really trying to take a big step back and take the time to look at this with a bigger lens.
Very well thought through.
Yeah, thank you
Nice.
so much.
It was thought through, and I think when we talked about the business case and understanding the financials behind it, because with the case that we were faced with, that was like it was just he was just citing it, and then they were going to sell
I'm
it.
gonna flip it. Yeah.
So I think we all started to wonder, you know, what is the, how much pushback, you know, where location, and, you know, there were certain factors that must impact the saleability and the, I think, again, at the end of the day, it's got to come down to some kind of a whether it makes sense for that business model, for them to keep going with this permitting. You know, is it, if we were, you know, we talked about, you know, zoning in the least likely areas to be built, because we really don't want these things. So if you were to zone them far away from the high Ts, maybe the business model would say, well, gee, that's not a profitable place. We're not going to put any. I mean, there's that. I think those were the kind of questions that I was, that we were all thinking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fernando. Wasn't that kind of how?
We just didn't understand how these companies come in and make money, right? So if you understand how they make money, then you know how to what are the pain points, so to speak,
Exactly.
that you can write into an acceptable bylaw that will be approved by the Attorney General, right? So,
And then
yeah,
obviously approval is essential, or we're going to be stuck right where we were in the Duxbury case,
Exactly.
side of the land court,
Yeah.
which is not where we want to be.
yeah.
I think that, you know, looking to provide overlay districts in just certain residential or planned development or whatever, it was like, well, is that going to work? You know, is that, you know, where is the ideal place for these to be sited? Is it along the highway? Is it
Right.
near, you know, whatever? So I think understanding that is really key for me anyhow.
Amy, if I can just emphasize a
Yes.
point that you made, for anybody watching at home on their TV or computer yelling at us right now, the purpose of this exercise is not because we're inviting this
No.
to town. We're in a way, we're being reactive. This is a state requirement, and this is the
Another
town
mandate.
protecting itself from the requirement as best as possible through a thoughtful, well-defended bylaw. So that's why we're going through all this trouble, not,
Thank you,
rest
Brian.
assured, folks who
Yeah,
are at
thank
home.
you. I don't want
before
anybody
we get the
thinking that
angry
we're,
emails and, you know, what
we
are
are not
you people
welcoming
doing?
things.
It's because we're dealing with something that we're required to do. If we don't do this, it's going to be problematic for the
But
town.
it's interesting because, you know, when you said like a Tesla Powerwall, I mean, that is a battery energy storage unit, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, there's all sorts of smaller
Right,
units that,
Right.
you know, we don't think about.
right. And what if, you know, part of when you create a bylaw is you also have to think ahead. And so we don't know what's going to happen in 30 years. So is the gas station going to have 30 pumps? I don't know, that need electric. So we can, I think we can only we only know what we know today, but we can also kind of look ahead and try to figure out what may make sense. So thank you for that feedback. That's really helpful. That is really all I had. We have for today. Is there anything else that any other questions that you might have? Anything that you'd like us to think about as we work on this?
No, and
I sincerely appreciate all the work that
Yeah.
that members of the planning board have put into this. I know it's a heavy lift. It's not something you jump out of bed in the morning and say, I'm really excited to do these things, but it's necessary for the town, and I'm really excited that you're diving into this.
Yeah.
And I've said it a couple of times already, I'll say it again, I think we're really fortunate to have a talented board that is picking these up and running with them, because it's a great service to the town. These are things we need to do, and I'm glad that you're on top of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks
Enjoyed
for
the
all your hard
conversation.
work.
Thank you. We appreciate the support. And if it's all right with you, we're thinking it would be good to come back maybe every 2 months, because we expect to have a whole lot more. And then if we actually have, say, a draft bylaw before then, would you want to see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think if we do that, we would just want to make sure we have a quick follow-up after that, because we would want to get your feedback there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Really
Thank
appreciate
you
your
very
support.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Stand up and eat this.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Discussion and vote pertaining to setting of Select Board goals for 2026.
Appreciate it. Send the bill to him.
You may.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you,
Thanks
planning
again.
people.
Thank you.
All right. Message received. Thanks, John.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen, well done.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Okay. In your packets, you'll see a memo from me dated April 22nd regarding the 2026 Select Board goals, which reads as follows. Dear members, as you consider your goals for 2026, I wanted to provide you with an update on your goals from 2025. Last year, the board voted to move forward with 10 goals, all of which have been completed. Below are those goals and their status. Number 1, town manager will obtain the consensus of the select board regarding the budget message prior to distribution to department heads. The town manager will create a process and/or timeline to solicit select board feedback on the budget and any requested contingency budget. The response is, in July of 2025, the board's input was sought, received, and included in the budget message prior to its distribution to the department heads, thereby completing the first aspect of the goal. On December 15th, 2025, the board held a meeting at the Senior Center during which we reviewed my FY27 budget presentation to the board and also held additional meetings in January and February of 26 for further review of the 5A and 5B contingency budgets, all of which were unanimously supported by the Select Board and Finance Committee, thereby completing the second aspect of the goal. Number 2, discussions with the community regarding the town's sources of revenues and expenditures. The response is from August of 2025 through March of 2026, and has been the case for many years, the budget process, including discussions on the town's source of revenue and expenditures, was reviewed publicly in great detail at both the Select Board and Finance Committee level and made available on the town's website, thereby completing this goal. Item number 3, hire a qualified full-time planning director, and this goal was completed in July of 25 with the hiring of a qualified full-time planning director. Number 4, by June 30th of 2025, the full-time planning director or the town manager, in the absence of the planning director, will provide an update on the status of items in the envisioned Duxbury Comprehensive Plan to implement outstanding action items. And the response is, the board was provided with an update on the status of outstanding action items to be implemented in the envisioned Duxbury Comprehensive Plan by Planning Director Matthew Hines. That process was relaunched on November 17th of 2025, and the Planning Director is currently overseeing the implementation process, thereby completing the goal of receiving that update. Number 5, continued discussion regarding sea level rise and climate resiliency. And the response is, although this goal is more closely related to the Planning Department, the aspect more directly related to the Select Board Town Manager's Office is the seawall project. Per our project engineer, Pat Brennan, the seawall concrete work was completed at the end of October 2025, followed by revetment work, the joints in the wall, and restoration. The majority of the seawall construction work was completed around December 15th, 2025, thereby completing this goal as described herein. Number 6, work with the Water Advisory Board, Board of Health, PFAS Working Group, and other necessary committees to advance water quality and PFAS mitigation initiatives, including exploring and presenting to the Select Board potential funding sources. Board meetings were held in October and December of 2025 to obtain the board's input on an annual town meeting warrant article, number 19, to be presented to the voters for their consideration, which was approved at the annual town meeting on March 14th, 2026, thereby completing this goal as described herein. Number 7, continue working with the Duxbury Beach Reservation to help implement and maximize covered activities in the DBR permits, including deterrents to increase oversand beach access and continue to facilitate transparency regarding beach closures. In April of 2025, I met with Steve Studley and Artie Fortune to discuss the possibility of moving forward with escorting. It appears that it could be done if warranted and if deemed a viable solution. There would be limitations to patrons visiting the beach, that is, the number of cars, the duration of the visit, which would be 3 to 4 hours, etc. And the option exists, and the question remains if escorting is manageable and sufficient for beachgoers' needs. Given these factors, last year we were unable to find a situation where the implementation of escorting was a viable option. We are still considering the escorting option for the 2026 season as we work to manage a practical solution. Further, in October 2025, additional conversations were held between the staff, board members, DBR, and state. Deterrents were deployed on the beach, and they did seem to work in addition to the updates from beach operations, providing information to the patrons related to beach closures. Thus, aspects of the goal were completed with the understanding that this is an ongoing multi-year process. Number 8, improvements of open field spaces. Continue joint discussions with the school committee, town recreation department, and Duxbury Recreational Collaborative. The response is, in October of 2025, we met with the CPC, Activus, and members of the Duxbury Recreation Committee to discuss including a CPC article, number 28, in the annual town meeting warrant to be decided upon by the voters at annual town meeting pertaining to initial engineering studies for Brooks Field. That article was approved at the annual town meeting on March 14th. Thus, aspects of the goal were completed with the understanding that this is an ongoing multi-year process and will be subject to future available funding. Number 9, prepare a town meeting article for the 2026 annual town meeting to move the date of our annual town meeting from March to May. You'll see that I met with the board several times to discuss the proposal, and due to the associated variables associated with it, the board agreed to move this goal to 2026. Number 10, employee engagement to attain a better understanding of internal and external challenges and department equity. Over the last year, the town partnered with All One Health, our employee assistance program, to better understand our experiences working in Town Hall and Old Town Hall. Together, we, Amy, Cindy, Jeannie Horn, All One Health, and I, developed a survey which was sent to the employees in October of 2025 to gather feedback about what is working well and where there is room for improvement. Based on the responses to that survey, All One Health created a set of recommendations and next steps to help support and promote positive change. In October of 25, we completed the employee survey, and on Monday, December 8th, All One Health presented the survey results and recommendations to the employees and the select board during that meeting. Since then, we have continued to work with All One Health and have reviewed the survey results with the employees, and we are moving forward with the next steps and share related feedback and receive ideas from the staff. In addition to future staff level meetings, we are hosting several staff events and employee workshop trainings occurring in April and May of 2026, thereby completing the goal. And my own goals for the coming year are as follows. Number 1, to hire and begin training an assistant to the town manager and an assistant to the select board. Number 2, continue the employee engagement begun on October 25 to attain a better understanding of internal and external challenges and department equity, and continue to work with All One Health to coordinate future staff events. Number 3, continue to work on preparing a town meeting article for the 27 town meeting to move the date of the annual town meeting from March to May, commencing with the 2028 annual town meeting. Number 4, as I did last year, obtaining the consensus of the select board regarding the budget message prior to distribution to the department heads, and create a process and or timeline to solicit feedback on the FY27 budget review process for both the operating and capital budgets. And number 5, to work through the board's 2026 goals. As always, if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
was a
Rennie.
lot.
Thank you. That was a lot. That was a lot of reading.
Yeah.
So we've all come hopefully prepared.
Yes.
Some goals for this coming year.
Yep.
I will say that most everyone on Rainey's list, I had included on my list, so I'm glad that, that's something. I have some additional ones, as I'm sure you guys do, and they may be duplicative. So
Right.
I think we can just have a conversation. Fernando, I'll let you start.
Right. So a couple of things. I just want to, I think we need to make sure that the goal number 4, right? So Rennie, I think last year.
Are we looking at the last year's goals?
No, goal number 4 for this year.
For his goal.
Yes,
So,
his goals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the whole piece around the budget last year, they on the, shall we say, on the expenses side worked really well, right? We you had the message out there, and basically we had an opportunity to comment on it, provide it, and we had an opportunity to vote on it, right? Before, and we kind of fitted our process in, and we didn't interrupt the finance committee's process, right? You slipstreamed it all in, and it worked great, all right? I think we need this. I just want to make it clear, your goal number 4, we need to do the same thing with regards to the capital budget.
And that's why I added the last 2 words.
Capital budgets.
That was just for you, because I knew you said that, and I wanted to make sure I included it.
So I just want to make
Yep.
sure that that all of us are in the same place, understanding what actually the goal number 4 is. So that would be one of the things I really like that Mary McKinnon does. She does a 5-year outlook for revenues and obviously expenses that informs the budget process, the operating budget. I'd like to see, and I think we'd all like to see, a equivalent capital forecast for the next 5 years, right? With sources of capital revenue, so to speak, whether it's bonds, whether it comes out of free cash or wherever it comes from, right? I'd like to see the revenue side, and then I'd like to see a capital forecast for the next 5 years. And there's stuff out there, and I think is always good for us to know, and also more importantly for the community to know the stuff beyond the 5 years, that big ticket item. So I think I just like to keep maybe a kind of a working list of this is the 5 years, but guys, beyond the 5 years, there's stuff out there. And I think the Fiscal Advisory Committee have that. So I'd like to basically just build that into our process. Still let the guys do their work as they normally do. I don't want to add work, but let's interject ourselves like we did with the operating budget.
Yeah, I'm going to find a point of insertion for you.
Right.
Can I?
Is that?
I agree. That was my number one, is
Yep.
what you just said, except what the word that is missing on this is the word priority. That's our priority. So what I think the goal here is to get the select board to prioritize, right? And then you give
Right.
the budget message.
With
and you
regard
go
to which one?
both.
Both.
I mean, I
Okay.
think with the capital budget, I mean, you're going to say, here's the budget,
Yeah.
here's the stuff, and we're going to say, okay,
Yeah.
our priorities are X, Y, and D, like we did
Like
last
we
year.
did last year,
And
yeah.
then it moves forward.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we need the ability to see what your proposed budget is and to set the priorities, and then it moves.
Because that's in the budget message, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. So basically, the budget message traditionally is just focused on revenue and expenses. We need basically both sides of the ledger, capital and operating in the budget message that articulates our priorities.
Okay, Cindy, you
Great.
want to jump in with?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that a little bit, were you going to let me do have another goal too?
Oh, I've got a whole bunch of, it's your
But
turn
just to
it's your
piggyback-
turn to pick a
okay.
goal.
Oh,
By
piggyback,
the way,
okay.
I haven't finished yet, but anyway, keep on
I'm
going.
sorry.
No.
That's
Okay.
only goal one.
Thank God you just expanded on one of mine.
Yeah, keep on going.
Well, can I just raise a point of order, Madam
Point of
Chair?
order.
I have point of order.
Good.
Sorry.
Point of order.
Yes.
So the agenda item says that we're discussing voting on select board goals. So I want to make sure we're clear. We're not talking about Rainey's goals tonight.
No, Fernando, I think, if I may, I think Fernando was simply expanding on one that I had already listed. I just
No,
wanted
get
to
it.
know what I've
I
got, so
get it,
there's no
but
duplication.
But for the public who's watching and wondering what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
It's a combination of one and
Because-
two. Yes, sorry.
Well, my point being
Yeah.
is we're going to be talking about the select board's
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
And they will cascade down to Rainey.
Correct.
Because he's the one who's going to implement them.
Correct.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
in terms of us tonight, what we're talking about
Yeah.
Right.
is we're discussing and voting on our select board goals tonight. Rainey's they will come, but that's going to be a separate discussion when we establish his formal goals
Right.
for the year. That's based upon his performance
These-
rated against.
Excuse me, these were lifted from my evaluation, my self-evaluation. These are the things I've got lined up.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But I want
I
to make
just
sure
wanted you to see 'em.
we're clear on what we're talking about tonight under the agenda item has to do with select board goals, not town manager goals. Because I certainly am,
I think for me, they're almost the
They're like-
same. They're
yeah.
intertwined. My goals then are what the town manager is going to follow through to, I mean, that's, our goals are what he's going to work on implementing.
And
ultimately,
Murphy-
he will.
Right.
He will, but every year, we undertake a process and we say, Rainey, we expect you to do goals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to hold you to those as
Right.
part of your review.
Right.
I think that in this case, we're talking about Rainey's goal number 4,
Yep.
which I'm sure is in one way or another on all of our lists.
Yep.
And so that's really a goal that we all have, that we want to do this budget
Yeah,
process.
right.
And so Fernando wanted to emphasize the capital budget,
Right.
and you wanted to emphasize our priorities.
Well,
You know,
just
for
the-
budgeting priorities.
Exactly.
I want to emphasize transparency because I think that's something that we struggle with. And I don't know the answer to it, but it's something that I would really like to work on or have Rainey work on, have us work on, is transparency, getting information out there. We think we do,
Yes.
but people are always saying, well, I didn't know anything
Right.
about that. And it's frustrating for us, it's frustrating for community members, you know,
I even
It's-
have it on mine.
and you even have it on yours.
Information flow and transparency.
And I don't know what the answer is.
I-
You know, whether we have to have get on Facebook.
Yeah, there we go.
You know, because that's where I'm seeing people complain. But, you know, so anyhow, that's, but my
Can I
goal.
expand on yours? Because I think
Yes.
that this was also one of mine. So I think one of the ways that we can facilitate that or help that is, I think our goal, my goal, would be to improve the flow of information to us and then to the public. And so I've talked to our IT guy, Mike
Woodford.
Woodford, who is going to be setting us all up with email addresses, town email addresses. And I'm hoping to have that done before May 15th. I think that would be really great for all of us. And what that'll do is it'll allow people to email. We'll be able to see the emails coming in from the public. We won't have to have
Your own personal,
Nancy,
yeah.
Well, Nancy does.
The new Nancy.
distribute them, right, I know, when Nancy did do that for us.
Right.
So we don't, you know, it'll kind of streamline that process, and so my second thought on that is to deliver timely updates to the board on significant activities across all departments. So that's, I'm hoping Rainey would, you know, I think the more informed we are, the more informed the public is. And we significantly need to upgrade the town website. We need to improve accessibility, transparency, and public communication. Now, whether the public communication is a social media, I have a lot of feeling about that. But we have to, our website is really struggle. It's a struggle.
It is. But, you know, as far as social media is concerned, people have been complaining vociferously about the mall. And today, the DPW put a post on Facebook about why the mall's been closed because of the storms and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, had a lot of information. I know you're going to talk about that later. And I think that's really appropriate because that's where people are
Yep.
looking for their information. Some people, not everybody, but some people are looking for their information there. And so it's there now. It's in Duxbury, helping Duxbury.
And I know the
about the
police
mall.
department does it, right? The fire
The
department
police and
does
fire
it.
do, yeah.
So now I hear the DPW, that's the first I've heard that.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a way.
So,
To
but
facilitate.
so anyhow, that
So-
transparency. Now, my next goal, unless we're,
Well, before
Okay.
you go on, because can I add to what you just said?
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
now, for purposes of open meeting law, we can't discuss this stuff in advance, so this is why it sounds like we're a little disjointed. But we're all, I sense a theme here, because what I wrote, I only have two. And one was an overhaul of the town's website. And now, I don't know if it's a website issue specifically, but it's transparency and communication. I think we're all hearing that. We need to meet residents where they are. The Clipper is terrific in covering us, but that's only as good as people who subscribe and read the Clipper, which there are a number. I'm one of them, a proud subscriber.
Not everybody did.
But not everybody does, and unless they're reading the Clipper or listening to WATD or mining the website for information, it's very difficult to get what you're looking for.
Agreed.
Maybe we're in the world of Gen AI, and there's got to be a solution out there where, and I don't know what it is, maybe Mike knows, but in terms of goal setting for us, I'm hearing a very resounding priority that we need to improve communication, however we want to determine that or term that, whether it's the website, whether it's social media. I'm agnostic in terms of what the platform or platforms are, as long as there's a way for us to engage. I guess engagement is really the word I'm after. It's not just us shooting information out, it's receiving information
Exactly.
from the public. Yes, we're accessible to everybody, but that's only as good as people running into us at the store or emailing us or calling. for those who maybe don't have that information at their fingertips, if they've got a complaint, who do they go to?
Right.
Right.
So it's that sort of thing. So I'm hearing, Cindy, before you moved on, I want to make sure I touched
Oh, no,
upon that.
absolutely.
Because that was a big issue in town that I've heard over and over and over.
We're great, I think there's an osmosis, there's a bonding going on, and because I called my objective community engagement.
Oh, there you
There you
go.
go.
That's exactly right, whether it's the website, whether it's a town presence on social media, we need to figure out how better to engage with the community, that two-way engagement.
All
So
those things.
all those
Yeah.
things,
All
all those
those
things,
things.
community engagement, right? How do we engage with the community in that two-way, like you say, two-way conversation we've all been talking about? So I'm hearing a common goal here. Outstanding.
Very common. So far, we are 2 for 2.
2 for 2. Do you have any?
No, Cindy was
I've-
going.
Cindy, keep on going, Cindy.
Go ahead,
Keep on
Cindy.
going,
So,
Cindy.
one of the things that I mean, I had a bunch of them, but one of them was, and I see that, it came in our talk with the planning board tonight when we talked about the Envision Duxbury, and it was to have make sure what happens is a careful evaluation of our energy costs and of ways to reduce them.
Energy
And-
costs?
Energy costs,
Okay.
because energy costs are skyrocketing. And, it's a big part of our town budget. And so I see in our Envision Duxbury that part of the Board of Selectmen's responsibility, and so is to increase energy resilience at critical facilities and public safety buildings. And, one of the things that we looked at and I know the Alternative Energy Committee is also working on this, and they've done an evaluation, and they're working with the facilities director. But, one of the things that when we're looking at the new DPW building, is they've made it solar ready, but is it time to put the solar panels on? Is it time to get away from some of the gas and oil and do heat pumps in some of our buildings? What is the feasibility of that? And I think those are, for me, it's just a really important thing. It's a way to reduce our town costs
And our footprint.
and our footprint. And that came up over and over again in the Envision Duxbury in our study.
By the way, at the end, I'll ask you to just read, however many you come up with, just read through them so that we can record them in the minutes, and that way we'll immediately create a list. Okay?
I think that's a good one.
So I have 2. And
Two.
well, I've got a lot, but I want to be realistic.
Yeah.
And this is for a fiscal year, basically.
Yep.
And I want to make sure that if you have too many, none of them will get done, or they'll all get done partially. I'd like to see some real movement, so that's why I've only listed 2. One is that communication, the engagement, the web. I call it the website, but it's broader than that. So I'd like to see some real meaningful changes there. And Rainey, I'm speaking to you directly on this because we've already talked. This is prior to town meeting. You already started getting the ball rolling on this, so we're not starting from square one, which is good. But I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity for us, and anything that we can do is going to be a market improvement over what we have now, because we're still in 19 something with our platforms. And then the other is, as I mentioned earlier in our meeting, implementation of the comprehensive plan. We really need to get some forward momentum going. And as part of that, I would propose as a select board goal that we have quarterly updates from either Matthew or the planning board, or if it's some other department that needs to come report to us as to why they are or are not achieving implementation. I think we need to have that regular interaction with the boards and committees so that we can have progress on that chart. And I'm encouraged by what I heard tonight. So it's just those 2.
Okay. Fernanda?
I had 3. So we talked about capital already. That was 1.
Yep.
We talked about community engagement, which was 2. The third one is the select board. Maybe I can start off with the select board has two roles, or not two roles, but I see obviously as the select board, we respond to the community, right? Because in essence, the community vote us into this role. And so therefore we have an obligation to the residents. We also have an obligation to the town employees. And I look at that because we contract Rennie to be the town manager, and then the town manager, ultimately everybody in the organization reports one way or another through the town manager. So in essence, reports, we're part of the organization.
Right.
All right. And so I don't know how we need to figure this one out, but I think we have a role to play as in kind of working with Rennie and working with the leadership of this town, of this organization, to ensure that all our employees come to work excited, looking forward to it, and feeling that their fingerprints are all over what the goals and objectives of this town, right? That they feel really good at the end of the day, right? So again, this is just started the conversation, but I think as a select board, we have a bigger role to play in helping Rennie and the leadership of this town help achieve that goal, right? Every single employee, doesn't matter where you work in DPW, you work in recreation, you look forward to coming to work for the town of Duxbury. So again, we need to shape that, but that's one of my goals, and hopefully.
You know, and as Brian pointed out,
Yep.
we don't, the only time we talk as a group is sitting here.
Right.
So it is kind of great
Eerie.
when we have consent, the overlapping. So I do have that one, and I labeled it employee morale. So it was building on the results of the 2025 survey, the suggestions in there. I'd like to see continued town employee morale through clear communication, responsiveness, and visible support across all departments. So what I thought was, we have a plan. We continue with the plan, and then maybe we do a follow-up survey come 2027. See if we're making progress. Are people feeling more supported, more heard, more?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to measure it.
Right, but I think that's one part of it, right? But I think this is a bigger conversation, right? The survey was sent to the town.
Yeah, just
town
a
hall
sort of-
employees, but we have many more employees.
Exactly,
We have
we do.
employees in the recreation, we have employees in the library, we have employees in DPW, in the police and fire. We have a big organization. And I think that we need to sit down. I don't know the answer yet. All right, we need to work on it. We need to sit down and work with town leadership to figure out what is the best way that this select board can help support the town's leadership. What actions can we do? What steps can we do to help? I think this, I don't know what it looks like now, but it's something, again, repeat. I think we need to help in any which way to ensure that all employees look forward to coming to work in the town of Duxbury. Anyway, so work in progress, shall we say? But there's something about how does the select board help town leadership in providing a wonderful workplace. I'll leave it at that right now. We'll figure out the right words, but that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's a challenge. There's no easy
Yeah.
answer
But
there, but.
There's
I
ways,
think there's
I know that there's ways we can do it. It needs teamwork to do it.
Cindy, any more?
Yeah, one of them is, sort of goes along with, number 6 from last year, which, you've stated as completed, but I think it's really an ongoing. This is as far as our water quality. And we heard tonight from Candace during open forum that she has a concern about the Gurnett Road area, getting their water from Marshfield. And so I think that this is a really important, and I know we're doing it, and I know you're doing it, but I think it's so important that it should be a goal,
Right. Yeah.
as a continuing goal. But PFAS, And, for, it's sort of like, continental Duxbury versus, I don't know how to talk about, Gurnett versus Duxbury, to
Yep.
include everybody. And my other thing had to do with water too, and I think that, again, it's really important, and I know it has to do with a lot of other committees and groups, but the quality of our water in our bay, and we heard from the Bay Management Committee, a couple of months ago, but to keep up with that and to work with that and to help the committees that need to get the information out, educated. Where is that nitrogen actually coming from? Do we need to study our septic systems? Do we have to, direct the water and sewer department to do more studies on the, huh?
That's us.
Well, no, but,
That's a boomerang right there.
Us too.
Yeah, but, to figure out, is it the septic? Is it certain septics? Is it our combined septic? Is it fertilizer on the lawns, just near the bay, or is it also out in West Duxbury and coming through the aquifer is getting into our bay? But the nitrogen in our bay is a really serious issue. So I have a couple of water things.
So can I bounce on that? Because here's another one, another overlap. I have that exact same thing, Board of Health coordination. I think if we could kind of coordinate with the Board of Health, because everything that you just mentioned is a Board of Health issue. Water quality, PFAS. I also have on my list looking into, I get so many text messages, especially as the weather gets warmer, about regulation on noise ordinances. So all of those things fall under the Board of Health. So I would like to propose that as a goal, which is to get partnership up with them, and let kind of work together with them to tackle these big issues, because the PFAS, and as we heard, tonight, that's going to be an ongoing issue, and we need some strategies in place to deal with what do we tell if those levels are what they are, and we know that that's above the standard. Now, it's not enforceable yet, but that's above. What strategies, what recommendations, what can we offer is, sitting up here to help people navigate through this. This is going to be a big deal. So,
And I know you're all aware of this, but the PFAS question isn't something we wrap up in FY26.
no,
That's a
it's going to be
big,
an ongoing
lengthy.
thing. I think it'll probably be on, I can't imagine
It'll
it being
be
off our
part of the
list.
capital forecast.
Perennial, yeah.
I just think it needs to stay on the list.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Correct.
the
Agreed.
water issues need to
In terms of
stay.
framing that out as a goal, I'm the liaison to the Board of Health, and I'm sure they would be very amenable to a joint meeting or multiple
I think we need
meetings.
to
And
do
we've
that.
got Warren here.
Yeah.
We have a very talented health agent who continues to learn about everything that's going on in health. I know you've been doing a lot of professional education on, there's just so much to learn.
There is.
And
Oh,
and
it's
it's constant, it's constant. So, but I raise that by way of saying that our current agent is up to speed on a lot of these things, and as things evolve, she continues to jump on them. I think we should be very appreciative.
I don't mean to
of-
say that they're not
No, no,
doing it.
no,
I'm
no,
trying
no,
to
no, no,
support
no,
them.
no,
I'm
no.
trying to, collaborate.
And that's my
That's-
point, is
that's-
saying we've got the
Okay.
right
All right.
people
Okay.
in the room.
Yeah.
And I think with the Board of Health and Warren and us in Rainey meeting, that we can maybe get some action on these. So in terms of the overall topic of a goal, a select board goal, I'm thinking out loud, I guess,
Yeah.
in terms of how we frame that with the assistance of the Board of Health.
Okay.
It almost feels like a joint Board of Health.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just like we did with the
We don't have to have that
planning.
as a goal. We can put it on the list and
Put it on the
just
list of
do
things to
it.
do,
Just-
Yeah.
like we did with the
That's
planning
fine.
board
I do-
just now.
I think
Yeah.
it's on there.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, we did have 10 goals on the last one, so I don't want to, I think it's doable to tackle this. I do think it's a goal, whether we put it on the list or not, I think it's a goal.
Yeah, it's on our meeting agenda. How
Yeah.
about that, on our long range, yeah.
Did you have any more?
Don't know. Well, I'll do this one for Mike, who's not here. It's ongoing work on the beach access, especially, and that also comes, because my other goal was to, again, with transparency, you know, our implementation of our discussion, our vote, and the actual construction / repair of,
Bless you.
That's right.
thought you were falling over.
No, I didn't want to splutter
Where
over
was I?
everybody.
Thank you.
You know, the bridge issue. You know, I mean, I think it's not going to be just the next couple of months, you know, it's going to be then, you know, when they start construction, repair, you know, whatever. And again,
That's part of community engagement, because we'll be doing a lot of community engagement
you
with the
know,
bridge.
and what is the beach access going to be like?
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, that's a huge issue, and that
Yeah.
could just be on our, you know, our long-term whatevers, but, you know, I've just been thinking about that.
Right.
Again, with transparency.
Yep,
I too
Yep.
have bridge project. Ensure
Yeah.
meaningful public engagement on the bridge project, including clear presentation of all viable options, costs, and impacts before decisions are made. So we're moving towards that.
Yes, we
No
are.
decisions have been made. We are
Correct.
working on getting the information that then we can kind of translate out to the public. I think it is going to be, again, it goes back to the community and the information flow and transparency. We need that feedback from these options. What is the community wanting? What is, you know, we can't make those big decisions without that
Yeah.
community feedback. So that's going to be critical.
I'm done.
Okay, I have two more things that really don't need to be goals, but I think that they're worthy of mentioning them so that they're on our radar. They need to come on to the agenda sooner rather than later. And they may require, and I'm going to ask Rainey to give you some things to watch that will help. So at a recent CBA meeting, it has come to light that there are some encroachments within the easement of people's decks near the seawall, the newly created seawall. And so there's some encroachments within the town's easement.
Right.
And the zoning board was unable to make a decision. They're kicking it to us. There a lot of information
fun.
came up at this meeting. And so Rainey's going to provide us with the meeting, you know, where in the meeting to start watching for the pertinent information. But that's something that we need to tackle as a board pretty soon, because, you know, certainly we want to prevent any future problems.
And that's on your long-range agenda.
Okay. And then my last thing is the McNeil dump. That's one that we started going down that path, and I don't know where we're at, but it's another one that we need to get community input. We had some ideas of what could be after the cap and the cleanup is done there. What does the future of that property look like? You sent out a memo about just something about the dump you're going to talk about later. There was, perhaps this is a time to look at utilizing some of that property to help the dump work better. I mean, if there's space problems at the dump, so that we had to close down the mall because we have the trees stuff, you know, again, this is the perfect time to be thinking about, what are we going to do there? And if there's some land that could be used to help the flow of the dump, maybe that makes sense. I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
So, anybody else, anything?
Nope.
Did we hear from Mike? Does he have anything for his list?
I did not hear anything from
I
Mike.
didn't get
Did
any
you?
emails from her or anything either. So how do you want to, there's a lot of overlap, which is good,
lot.
which is good. But I don't know how many goals there are right now.
Well, there was
The number doesn't really make a difference. I just want to make sure that you guys are in agreement on all of them, but I don't really have a list. You know what I mean? Like this was and I'm looking at you, Brian. You put it together. Speaking of codification, you codified the list last year very nicely.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yep.
I
Sorry
think
to
that
remind
was,
you.
Well, that was the job of the
I
chair.
think it was
at
a
that
job of
point.
the chair, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have, what I know to be true is that the budget message and prioritization, as we did last year,
Yeah.
was a consensus.
Yes, with
of-
including
Actually,
capital.
I got an idea, if I may. You've all got your lists, right? I presume you typed them up.
Yep. You want mine?
I presume you could put it into an email and send it to me? No, no.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, just email me your stuff and I'll look at it,
Sure.
and I'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
And we'll look at it.
There were some things that were goals, and there were some things that belong on the long-range plan.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to.
I can work with Amy on that.
Okay, got it.
Because she and I talk about the long-range thing
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
Good.
If that's all right.
Good.
But if you guys could do that,
Sure.
shoot them all to me.
Okay, and do you
Well, I thi-
object to any of our goals? Is anything outlandish and crazy and certain?
No,
couldn't
as long as we
possibly-
recognize that some things are going to be multi-year, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
No, I
yeah,
want
yeah.
all the PFAS out of the water next
I do too. I do too. Tell me how to do it and we'll get it done.
I think probably the majority of them are multi-year.
Some are, some aren't.
I mean, well, no, some aren't, but.
Let's look
I think
at it.
The majority are. And
we'll-
I think it's interesting because I think some of them are just part of our
Or normal.
normal.
Long-range
lives.
workload, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and I think with some of the IT stuff and all that, we're
Some of that's,
relying on.
you're going to see that
Mike, so,
happening right
yeah,
away.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to even have talked about we used to call it a platter.
Yes,
That's
well,
right.
I do have.
And you'll
I
be
think
doing
it's-
that next.
I think it's important to talk about those too.
So if you wouldn't mind, please, email me your lists and I'll put it all together and we'll take a look at it at the next meeting.
Okey-doke.
I did
Which is the
not
4th,
say that,
unbelievably.
didn't I?
Okay, now we need to go into executive session.
Yes.
Before you do that, Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I ask how long that's going to take? Because we have, rather than kick everybody out and then bring everybody back in, can we maybe do executive session at the end?
Russ, do you mind if we do executive session at the end?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Is that okay with you guys? You good with it? All right.
It's
That
not gonna-
makes sense. That way you can adjourn after the executive session.
Yeah, because then I think it makes it easier for the local scene rather than have that
Yeah.
go dark and then come back and.
Yes,
All right.
and the, viewers who may be, watching us right now, I'd hate to
There are,
interrupt their
yeah.
regularly scheduled programming. Okay, so we have a town manager's report.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Where am I? Okay. So, we just talked about the transfer station, and I'm going to read to you what I sent you in an email earlier. Update on the Duxbury Mall at the transfer station. As many patrons of the transfer station will know, the Duxbury Mall area has been temporarily closed over the past 6 weeks due to the overwhelming amount of wood waste from property cleanups due to this winter's storms. The volume of material coupled with the temporary inability to process and haul debris away as quickly as it has been arriving left limited options for material drop-off. That limited capacity situation led to a restrictive operating space for residents to safely and efficiently drop off debris while minimizing wait times for other patrons. The DPW staff made concerted efforts to keep up with the demand. However, the pile continued to grow beyond their ability to process it. Also, the Moorbark dump chipper that the DPW staff uses to process woody debris into uniform wood chips was out of service for a period of time, but thankfully, that machine has now been repaired and is back in operation as of today, Monday, the 27th. The good news for mall patrons is that today, the transfer station staff have been grinding and chipping the piles of material currently located at the mall area and will be doing so again tomorrow in order to allow for it to reopen this coming weekend, if not sooner. Please note that the hours of operation at the Duxbury Mall are dependent upon the availability of DPW staff to oversee the area and may be subject to closure to various weather conditions such as high winds, rain, and snow. We appreciate everyone's patience as we work to bring the Duxbury Mall area back online. Also, let's see, what else did I have? Oh, I believe I sent you an email, and if I didn't, I will do it tomorrow, on the 2026 Memorial Day Parade.
Oh, yeah, a while ago.
Did I
yeah.
forward that to you?
It was a while ago.
The Legion, yeah.
I just wanted to read this so everybody
Yes.
knows.
Yes.
On behalf of the Town of Duxbury Veteran Services and Duxbury American Legion Post 223, I'd like to extend an invitation. This is coming from Sarah Lansing, our Veteran Services Director, to each of the boards, to each of the board members here, to participate in this year's 2026 Memorial Day Parade. The date is Monday, May 25th, and the parade steps off promptly at 10 a.m. from the Miles Standish Cemetery on Chestnut Street, and there will be a service next door at the First Parish Church following the parade at 11 a.m. We look forward to having the Board of Selectmen represented in this important holiday remembering our fallen. If you need additional information, you can either reach out to Sarah or John Mangarelli. I just wanted to make sure you all knew
Yep.
that you were cordially invited.
Thank you.
Yep. Update on the Powder Point Bridge. This past weekend, Charles Barnes, well, first of all, we had a meeting last week, a pre-construction meeting, if you will, with Dr. Tingley, myself. Were you on it? Who was on it?
I was there. No, I wasn't on the Friday.
That's right. Fernando was on it. Thank
yeah.
you. I knew one of you was. I thought I invited both of you. And they did their pre-construction meeting, and SGH was out on the site for 10 hours on Sunday while Dr. Tingley's group did their inspections. They're going to be on site tomorrow. They were on site again today for 10 hours and 10 hours tomorrow. And they have a good idea of what they're doing, but they wanted to let us know that what they're doing is basic repetitive work, which matches the work described in their work plan, and it's not doing any damage to the structure. They are doing ultrasonic testing, basically smacking as many piles as they can multiple times at multiple elevations with a small hammer and recording the time of the resulting impact wave. They're also noting some visual observations of damage at pile 1 on Sunday, and planned four or five other piles, and they're drilling one small hole, a 1/4 inch diameter, through the piles to take back to their lab for testing. This was also described in their work plan. So SGH assured us they have no concerns that anything they're doing will damage the bridge, and they believe they have enough understanding of what they're doing to form an opinion on the results in any report issued based on this testing. Just
Okay,
wanted
so
to...
just for edification, Dr. Tingley is the wood bridge expert. So a group of residents has funded
Yes.
a
$48,000.
inspection and a report that he will provide to the town, and he's going to present that on June 15th?
It's on your long-range thing.
June 15th, 18th?
Oh, hold on.
15th, June 15th.
There you go.
And that way,
He has it down here for June 8th.
June 8th. Discussion pertaining to the study prepared by Dr. Dan Tingley from Woods Research and Development Limited, Ltd., pertaining to the Powder Point Bridge.
No, I think that's incorrect.
Alicia's saying no.
is shaking her head, and I actually have it written down at home.
It was the
It was
15th?
June 15th we had
So that's what
decided.
happened to your 50. Okay, I gave you guys a wrong list for June. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'll get
It's
you. a
all
new
right.
one.
That's all right.
No
It's-
problem. Do we
The
have a
stuff is
meeting
there.
on
We
June
know it's
8th?
coming.
Yeah, we know it's coming. We know it's coming.
I swear.
Date sorted.
But importantly, there'll be a report out. We'll all get to hear what the, what, if any, options there are to save the bridge or rebuild or repair, or I don't know what that is, and importantly, what the cost of that would be, both to do the work and then ongoing maintenance, so that when we, again, we will have the option of the wood, we'll have the option from Mass DOT as to the two bridges, but we've already picked one of those two to kind of definitely not the other one. So again, there'll be information available to the residents so that they can contact us, they can tell us what they think, and hopefully we'll have, be
Yeah.
able to make an opinion.
And if you look at the third page of the long-range agenda, it is correct. It does say June 15th. Just ignore the first page.
Yeah, I
So-
think that
June
just
15th.
8th, I think we don't have
It's there.
we don't have a scheduled meeting on June 8th.
You may be right. I believe
I
you.
think
I just
it's
got to
just-
verify it next door.
Right, I mean, I think that, I mean, from what the list that we'd gotten before,
Yeah.
that's not to mean that we're not going to have one, but that we don't have a
Right,
schedule.
I'll double check that.
I've been pretty impressed with the two gentlemen from SGH,
Yeah, they're good eggs.
our bridge engineers consultants. So, and they'll be doing a peer review of
the pier?
report, of the pier,
A peer of the peer.
PEER, and so we'll have lots of information available for us
Okay,
as we digest everything.
I have one last thing. So finally, something that will help avoid the confusion that you just saw here with this, the long-range schedule. I'm happy to announce that I have hired an assistant to the town manager. Her name is Ashley Kenny. She has worked previously in Marshfield and Cohasset, and she will be starting on May 11th.
All right.
great news.
Yeah.
May 11th, that's just like right around the corner.
Yes, it is. But it's not soon enough, Cindy.
You're doing
Would it be okay if I
Alicia,
just
think
asked a
had something
question?
to offer on the bridge.
Yes, I, just quickly, Alicia Babcock, Ocean Road South. As far as the June 15th meeting, I would like to just request that, I know the plan right now is to have it be part of your regular agenda, but there is quite a bit of information to share, and I know that he's pulling together a very ample presentation for you, and I would expect it to be well attended, and people will have questions. So if we could kind of plan ahead for that and leave, a ample amount of time, and I may even want to mention that I don't know if it would require even a senior center location, but I did want to bring that up. I know a lot of people are very interested, and after going through this whole exercise, I think it would be a good idea to just make sure that we are very thorough with the presentation. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we are, earlier this evening, we had already said,
Okay.
we're not going to do anything on that night other than the bridge presentation. So,
Okay, wonderful. That sounds great.
We're prepared for that, and maybe we will need to book it at the senior
I
center.
just wrote that down.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Next item on the agenda is.
Before you move on,
oh,
sorry, I thought
thank you, I'm sorry.
I thought you were still going. I just had a question on something you mentioned, Amy.
Sure.
You said that there's been a decision to pursue one version of the bridge versus another. Can you elaborate on
No,
that?
so back,
Not
the
yet.
only decision that has been made at all by this board in public has been, at one point, there was the option A and the option
Right.
B from Mass DOT.
Yeah.
And we were asked which of those two options.
Not yet.
We
We
I
haven't?
guess that's my point.
If I
I
may, the
thought-
only
I didn't think
question,
we got
the
there
only,
yet.
You told me that we did, and I'm like, I don't remember doing
Nope.
that, but maybe we
nope.
did.
The only
Okay.
question that the board has ever been asked is whether you wanted to continue with the project or not. And you
Correct.
voted that you wanted to continue
Correct.
with the project.
We'll continue exploring the part. We haven't said we're doing.
Wait,
Well, right now, there's only one project on the table, and that's the DOT project. So any further decisions, whether it's option one, option two, or the wood option, those still have to be rendered
Correct.
following the receipt of any information regarding
When are we
those.
going to get
Yes.
additional information about the DOT?
What?
About the two options there?
Oh, that was already presented. They've held 3 public hearings on that.
No, but, excuse me, I was
know
coughing, now I've got a lifesaver in my
Want us to
mouth.
wait? Don't choke.
No.
Let me see if I know your question.
Yeah, no, well, no. So they had come up with two different options.
Yes, they did.
And then that was going to go back to the drawing board a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
yep, because they've taken the public input from the first show.
We have
and
that
then-
back?
Not yet.
No, okay. So when in the process will that be happening?
Well, there's going to be a couple things happening, and you're kind of nicely dovetailing into the long-range agenda, because what's going to happen is you will hear from, God, I know the minute I say it, I'm going to get the order wrong.
Bridge committee.
You're going to hear from,
Bridge Committee.
you're going to hear from Ed Mayo and
Yep.
Company, the Powder Point Bridge Advisory Committee.
Yep.
You're going to hear from Dr. Tingley,
Yep.
and then you're going to be at a point where you're going to render a decision.
Well, we're going
We're
to,
gonna
we
hear from
need
the
some
DOT.
time in
We
there
have- we
for
need to hear from
public.
DOT. as well.
Coming back,
Yes,
the third step, and then the fourth step is back to you. Thank you.
Correct.
Forgive me. It's
yeah.
So
we need-
DOT is coming
We need
back.
Powder Point Bridge Advisory Committee, we
Yeah.
need Dr. Tingley, and we need the final
DOT.
final DOT, and then we can,
Then you guys are ready.
Yes,
to go.
correct.
Forgive me,
no, it's okay.
fun keeping stuff.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
Together
stuff
we
going on.
So my understanding is where we left off.
Yes.
Just to make sure, because there's lots of pieces moving around.
Yes.
Is,
So many.
there's option A, option B
Yep.
from DOT. Because when I've been talking to people around town, I'm asking them, what do they think, A or B? So as far as I know, they're both still on the table. And then the other question is those, I forget what you call them, the lookouts, or the
The bump outs?
bump
Yeah.
outs, yeah. The DOT was waiting to hear back from us on two things. One is which version, A or B?
Yep.
And then the lookouts, do we want any? And if so, which styles? Because they gave us, I think, 2 or 3
Yeah,
different
locations, how many,
options.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
And that has been, I think, reviewed by the Powder Point Bridge Advisory
And
Committee.
also feedback from the meetings as well, right? From the public meetings.
Yes,
Yeah.
So they're coming, Ed Mayo's coming on May 18th. Is that when we're going to be talking about that?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so there seemed to be, where we left it off, and I don't know the answers to any of these questions, was that the Bridge Committee had a list of
Yep.
items
Yep.
that they were asking the state
Yeah.
to incorporate into
Correct.
the, and I don't know which ones, how many, what wasn't, what is,
Yeah, yeah.
if
And
there's
that's what the
still
meeting
room.
is for on
So-
May 18th. That's what you're going to
May
get that.
18th, they'll
Okay.
come back and elucidate.
And they'll
Okay,
tell
so
you.
May 18th will be that meeting.
Correct.
Then we'll hear from Dr. Tingley on June
June
15th. Then we'll have the options, and I'm wondering where, after June 15th, there has to be,
The DOT meeting.
well, and there also has to be public, we need to get this information. I'm hoping that we have the new and improved website and ability to communicate, to get this information out to the public, because we need the feedback.
I
How
think
else
the
can we
DOT has
make
done a pretty good
decision?
job of that so far.
Is the DOT, yeah.
But if there's another option that includes
But
the
that's-
tax
yeah,
money,
yeah, okay,
that's
fine.
That's
We'll- we'll-
how do
we
we-
broadcast it, yeah.
We'll figure out a way. We need to communicate exactly right, because Dr. Tingley is going to come back with an option.
Yeah.
And basically, we're going to have what's recommended to be done to the bridge. There's going to be a cost associated with it. There's going to be an SGH peer review of that, so they're going to have their feedback. And so we, as a select board, have got to share that information to the community, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and then basically at that meeting, the Ed Mayo meeting, he's going to come and present all the work that they've been doing in conjunction with DOT. So we need to get that information out to the community, and then DOT's going to come out and basically, and then we'll again, that needs to get out to the community. So yeah, there's a lot of work that needs
It's
to
a
be done.
process.
It's a
When's
process,
DOT
yeah.
coming? DOT
Basically,
coming?
after
We have to schedule it.
we'll have to schedule it.
Probably after Tingley, right?
After
It
Tingley,
makes
yeah.
sense to get
Yes.
the information
Yeah.
out there, then.
They'll be the final,
Okay.
with all the input from all the meetings, all the input from the Powder Point Bridge Advisory Committee, all that input, they'll come back in some time after Dr. Tingley and say, this is what the community wanted, and this is what DOT have done in response to community, and this is what DOT can't do. And this is what DOT is gonna build for you if you want to.
All right, 'cause
Okay.
I have down here that we're
Yeah.
going to vote on it on July 6th, so.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
there's
remember,
no way.
everything is subject to change on that. That's just long range
They
from my,
wanted, DOT wanted us to have a decision by the end of June though, right?
oh yeah, they wanted us to have one back in
I
May.
know.
Yeah, That
They-
is just not going
But
to.
But I've
DOT
already told them about all these other
Yes.
things that Fernando just listed. We
Okay,
got to hear
great.
from these folks,
Perfect.
this folks. and
I just want to make sure that we have time to do all of that, that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
oh
would
yeah.
rather take the time and get it
Oh,
right.
absolutely. I
Anything.
just,
I
yeah.
cannot, this is an enormous decision.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's all, that there is the time for all of that, because it is really important.
Yep.
Okay, some event permits?
Committee appointment.
Okay, there are no,
I think we
No
joined
no
more,
event
right?
permits, no one-day liquor license,
No, but the
some
committee
minutes.
appointment's next.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry, I'm jumping over that. Yes.
Yeah.
We have an
It's a
appointment of
quick-
Joanne
it's quick.
Moore as the Duxbury delegate to the Old Colony Elder Services.
I move that Select Board reappoint Joanne Moore as the Town of Duxbury delegate to the Old Colony Elder Services for a period of a year from July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you,
those-
Joanne.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne,
All
yes.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It is unanimous. Okay. No event permits, no liquor licenses. We do have some minutes.
We do. Let's see, where did those go? Here we go.
Well, we got a bonus shellfish.
We do. Do we want to take these all together, like
Yeah, you have
the executive session minutes all together? I mean, I can just
I don't
move
have any
to,
comments.
All right.
you have comments?
I don't have
You
comments.
don't?
To any.
All right, so let's do the executive session, if I could just make sure I get them all. I move to approve the executive session minutes of 2/9/26,
March 30th.
3/30/26. That's it, right?
Yep.
Yep.
As written.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
And
Opposed?
I move to approve the, oh, that's tomorrow. I move to approve the Select Board minutes. Oh, I could do that, huh?
Yeah, here.
February 9th, 2026, March 14th, 2026, and March 30th, 2026, as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Thank you,
Unanimous.
Brock.
Yeah.
Or.
Claude.
It's Claude, I think, isn't it? Claude's great.
one of them.
Is that what you use, Claude?
Claude.
No, Nancy's doing these. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
Lauren's saying
Yeah.
Claude.
Yeah.
Yes? Is that better than chat?
Claude is good.
Claude's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All righty.
The
Bone and
shell,
shellfish
You
season.
did all three?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
the shellfish,
Here.
God, I don't know.
There.
Thank you. I move to recommend a temporary bonus shellfish season for the commercial harvesting of soft shell clams for the month of May. Regulations is attached. And a temporary bonus shellfish season for the commercial harvesting of quahog clams for the month of May. Regulations as attached.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Do we have any announcements that you
I
want?
didn't have any, no.
All right.
I could announce that our next regularly scheduled meeting is
I think I have it.
May
Okay.
something or
Thank
other.
you.
Next Monday.
Let's wait until we get the new Nancy in place.
So we're going to be going into an executive session this
Yep.
evening. So executive session pursuant to general law, chapter
Yep, I
30A,
do have
section
this.
21. Oh, that's your, I'm going to let you read that.
Thanks. I move to enter into an executive session pursuant to general laws, chapter 30A, section 21A3, for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining, since an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating and bargaining position of the town. Duxbury Police Commanders Association, Mass. COP Local 376, and that the board reconvene in open session on or about,
Not at all. The board, from which the board will not reconvene.
from which the board will not reconvene.
Second.
As chair, I declare that a necessity for an executive session pursuant to general laws, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, as to do so in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the town's bargaining and negotiating position. This requires a roll call vote. I will start with you, Brian.
Brian, aye.
Oh, you need a second?
I second.
Oh, you did, sorry.
Brian,
Fernando,
aye.
aye.
Cindy, aye.
Amy, aye.
Sorry.
Thank you for
All
checking.
right, good night,
All
folks.
right. Good night.